Well, hello.
Well, hello.
I'm gonna let you do all the talking today.
All right. Well, I was saying earlier, it's International Women's Day. So I love that last year and this year we had just amazing, powerful women on. So
It's a
um,
plan. It's always a plan.
it's always the plan. So let's bring our guest in.
I'll take care of that for you. Hello.
Hello.
You say
How
something,
y'all
Amy?
So,
Huh?
so welcome to the show. We always start. I want you to say your name so I can say it correctly.
Okay, Malaysia Harrell.
Malaysia. It's very beautiful.
All
Thank
right.
you.
And
And
thank you for
first, let's
sharing your
find
Air
out how
Force.
we got connected through an event we were on, a Zoom meeting or something,
Mhm.
right? And then
Yeah.
she was talking about what she had been going through, and someone said you can just talk the way you need to talk in life. Um, the military's still going to pay you your pension no matter what or whatever you're getting. And I want her to come on and talk about her story. So that's why she's here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate that.
All right. Now, Amy, you can go. I'm sorry. And I'm going to be much more quieter. Thank you.
No worries. That was wonderful. So thank you for giving some context. But we always start off with asking why you chose the branch of service that you chose.
Ooh. Well, I started in high school when I was in junior ROTC in the Air Force. And I did 1 year of Army ROTC and 1 year of Air Force ROTC in college. And I felt like ROTC kind of took up all my youth, and so I wanted to do something different. And 9/11 happened, and I knew that day where I was at my internship for my master's program that I was going to go in the Air Force. And so that's exactly what happened. So I went into the Air Force, and then I did over 7 years, transferred into the United States Public Health Service.
Very good.
Yeah.
So then just tell us your story, sort of like Ed had said. Tell us everything you want to.
Or
Okay.
actually, what did you do when you were in the service?
So I'm a clinical social worker. Mental health, also worked with the family advocacy program, the substance abuse program, sexual assault program, EFMP program. So all of, those, and then of course, behavioral health and primary care as well. So
Very cool.
yeah, I've been blessed. I'll say that.
So now that you're out, are you using those things, or did you pivot and kind of go in a different direction?
Well, I'm not actually retired yet, so that's coming at some point. So I haven't completely, pivoted as of yet. I'm still active duty, and I will be retiring. I do plan on, working full time with my, as an entrepreneur, and I do holistic health. I kind of wanted to add on to my mental health kind of repertoire. I saw, you see people come in and out, and you see the Western form of medication in way of the way we do things medically here. And I had a chance to be stationed in many different parts of the world, and I wanted to incorporate the holistic healing into, with the mental health. So that I want to really introduce people to other avenues and kind of see what works for people and help people in that way as well.
Okay, so in the Air Force, do you feel um, that you have been able to use the tools that the way you wanted?
Definitely. Definitely. I've been super blessed. I've had a chance to work, many different places, in the United States, OCONUS, and learn about, different cultures. And I do feel like I've been able to use, my specialty, my skills, and I hope they've been helpful. We need mental health providers so much. So I do hope that they've been very helpful to people.
Have you seen the stigma change in the time you've been in from first don't talk to anybody to now go get help?
I will say that I feel like it's evolving. I don't think we've arrived yet. I also feel like access to care is still a challenge, whether it's in the military treatment facility or, in the private sector. Behavioral health resources, there's just not enough for everyone. I see that we're now being very open to utilizing telehealth services and implementing additional resources. The military is, really trying to introduce some of the holistic, yoga and, the different things with embedded into primary care and, looking at offering additional resources, acupuncture. So there's different things that we're doing. I feel like we're evolving, but I just don't feel like we're there yet. I feel like we have a long way to go.
I just came back from recently from a trip with with 62nd Air Wing Command, and
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that somebody said was, um, she feels that it's good for her career to let somebody know that you have mental health issues. And I was like, I don't know that we're there yet. I don't know of a career that was improved because they, said that they had mental health issues.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering, do you have anything that you think commands how they could kind of pivot and move forward better for their airmen and even soldiers and
Mm-hmm.
all the branches?
Um, it's crazy because I'm a mental health provider. Of course, I see both sides of the coin, and I see all of, the issues and the reasons why people may not want to disclose. But I also see the other side of it if they don't and they don't get the help that they need. And we're still having suicides, 22 suicides per day for veterans at least. And so my thing is, get the help that you need. And there's many different ways to do it. There's so many resources. There is Give an Hour, if you've heard of that program where people volunteer. Yes, Give an Hour is a big one. So I've been I refer, people call me from everywhere.
That was, I don't, not everybody knows about it, so don't
Oh,
assume. So if you could
okay,
explain it.
yeah.
When I do,
So
that's not like everybody's, yeah, no, that's wrong. It's
gotcha.
just, yeah, could
Yeah.
you,
So Give
anytime
an
you
Hour.
say anything about anything,
Mhm.
explain it so people, not everybody's going to follow or know everything. So please.
Understood. Yes. So Give an Hour is a program where providers volunteer their time and they give, they provide free mental health to veterans. So that's one resource. And there's several other resources that are available as well for veterans that are not necessarily on base. And there are some that are on base that are not in the clinic. So at least with the Army, with the Air Force, and I'm not sure with the Navy, they have the military family life consultants where you can, meet with them confidentially. They're normally associated with the Family Life Center, depending on what the name is, Fleet and Family Center, depending on your service. And so they are providers as well. And of course, they see you, for mental health issue, for any kind of issues, family issues, counseling. They can see you and your spouse. But if you meet the level where you need mental health services, where if you're able to be diagnosed with a diagnosis, then they would want to refer you to the mental health clinic. And so sometimes, I feel like people need that warm handoff, right? If they don't feel comfortable and they want to understand, what services are available, or they have questions about, their career, what they're doing. Sometimes they need someone to talk with them individually. So I don't think, there's a one size fits all, but I would say to get the help that you need. And I think command is doing a good job with, being more open to talk about the services that are available. I know in the Air Force, we would go out to, the different units on an annual basis and talk about all of the resources that are available. And once you establish that rapport, a lot of the services also, depending on your unit, especially with some of the special forces, they'll have embedded behavioral health providers. So it just depends. I mean, there are resources available. And so I just say get the help that you need. If you're worried about your career and you're not going to be in a position to be able to do your job, and you, then it doesn't matter anyways, right? So.
I thought you were talking, Amy. I remember you're supposed to be running this thing.
Well, I know, but you unmuted, so I thought you had something
just in
to say.
case I wanted to say something.
All right. So, but I'm going to circle back around to do you think there is something that commands can do to normalize mental health and help airmen and soldiers and different things like
and sailors,
Marines, all the armed forces realize that it is supported by command, or even we think just normalizing mental health.
Mm-hmm. Well, I liked when, again, a lot of the different mental health entities will come out for the stand up, on an annual basis and talk about the resources. And especially if there's an incident that occurred on that base or, installation, they will have, you'll be out there with them already. And so you really join forces with command to really talk about, whatever issues are going on and talk about behavioral health and the services that are available and the support that they're going to give you for being able to, really attend your appointments. I know I've worked with command, I've worked with first sergeants, and they want to bring their, their people to you to behavioral health when they need that support. You don't, want to have anything happen. So I know that they do that. And then there's been times where, depending on what's going on with the unit or what they've gone through or what they're preparing to do, mental health could really work with command and ask for, someone to come out and talk with the team more individually and come up with, depending on what's going on. So I think they're doing it. And I wouldn't say, that that's not happening now, because I know I've been part of that. But I think just to continue it, right, to the consistency of it. And again, as the resources expand, that they allow, continue to allow people to come out and really talk about, that the resources that are available. Because maybe, like you said, everybody may not know or assume that they know what resources are available. So that continuous, media attention, I guess, of the resources that are available.
All right. So as you begin to transition out, you stated earlier that you're an entrepreneur. So definitely tell us about that. But
hold on, as you transition out. Can I go one more? Looking back on your service and what you've been in, would there anything you would have done differently?
Ooh, that's a really good question.
I want to stay on the service and then we can go to the rest of it. Sorry, I don't want to go back. You're great, Amy. You just didn't know I was thinking that. So,
my career has been so amazing and it's been so blessed. And I think had everything not happened exactly the way it happened, I wouldn't know what I know now. So I would say I would have wanted to have those experiences, but also I think I would want to have more awareness of work-life balance. You marry the military sometimes and you don't think about life after, because you have time, right? You have so much time. And, I talked to you and I explained my situation. I almost have 20 years of service in combined service. And I thought I'd do 30 years. My career has been such a blessing and I love to serve. I just love it. I've always been in uniform. So It's hard to think of me not in uniform, but in 2020, I got deployed and I came back sick. I had a septic hip and, almost died. And, went to the hospital and they were going to send me home because they didn't believe anything was wrong with me. And they told me that they were going to have me see the psychiatrist. It wasn't that they couldn't find anything, but that was a little different for me. And knowing what I know now, I would have wanted to be prepared for anything at any time. Thinking you have time, thinking you're going to do this amount of time, you don't know how much time you're going to be able to do, right? So I would want to be more prepared and think more about, the work-life balance, and also who is Malaysia as a person. I think we get so tied up in being, this leader, wearing the uniform, wearing the cloth, that sometimes, nothing else matters, right? This is what I signed up for. This is what I'm dedicating my life for. And, what about life after? So it's funny because I've treated so many people over the years who are retiring, and I'm thinking, ooh, isn't that exciting? And they're having like a midlife crisis. But I can empathize now. I can understand, like, you've had this idea of who you were and what your life has been, and to just turn that off in one day and be this next person, or this next identity or whatever, to make that shift. I feel like you need to start doing that the day you come in. Does that make sense? I feel like you have to know who you are outside of the uniform as well. So I would have wanted to have more awareness. Again, there was sometimes I didn't hear my first name. You probably didn't know your first name till you went home with family, and living overseas, you hardly went home with family, so that's what I think I would have wanted to really delve into, who is Malaysia outside of the uniform.
Yeah, because most people lose their purpose when they get out, and
Yeah.
and it takes them for a while to find their purpose.
Absolutely.
Especially if they're infantry person, right? Because that's
Yes.
not something you can go right out and do. And I'm not knocking infantry, but it's at least you have a career that you can use that you've been doing.
Mhm.
I was a corpsman. I could have been a nurse, but that's not what I wanted to do.
Mhm.
So that purpose that you lose after this is where I'm going, and I've just lost my purpose. It affects a lot of people, especially if you have to retire earlier than you wanted to retire or get out medically.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
go ahead, Amy.
Well, I would also, so any other questions for her service time? Because I'm really excited to learn about her.
As a woman that was been in the military for a period of time, is there anything that has changed from when you went into now for women? Because I hear all the time from co-hosts and other people on my show that women aren't treated very well in the military. And I've actually seen that, but I was in the hospital. So they're nurses, and you didn't mess with them. We didn't see that where I was at. I was at a station at a hospital. But I've heard this when you're out in the middle of nowhere.
Mhm.
So did I get a question out there, or did I just make a statement?
No, you did. You did. You said, how did I feel about women? What is it different
After this,
from when
Amy,
I came
it's all
in?
you. Yeah.
For me, I think everybody, so I wouldn't generalize, obviously, because everybody's experience is completely different. For me, I have always, I guess, knew who I was as far as being, as far as my leadership is concerned. I was so blessed to be able to, for my first duty station, be in a place where, I was the only active duty social worker. So I got put at working with high level officials at a very young time, brand new time in my career. So for me, I was always at the table, right? So for me, it was different. I don't know any different than that. What I will say, though, is it feels like the uniforms are changing a little bit. I think they're trying, now that I'm wearing the Navy style uniform, they're kind of going more to gender neutral, if I could say that, I feel like, you know, they're changing the covers. So it's like we have to continue to buy, the females have to continue to buy new uniforms, you know, because I guess they're more making them gender neutral. But for me, you know, I don't know if I have any info, because I've been at the table, whether people want me there or not. So, I mean, and I'm a behavioral health, like, you need me, you want me, and you need me on that wall. So,
Well, and I think that's very fair. So thank you for sharing your experiences, because
yeah,
I think that's what it's about. Our experiences are very different, but they're at different times in different services,
yeah,
and so they just are what they are. But thank you for sharing that. And so now I believe I've been blessed enough to.
I don't know. I could come up with another one.
I know, right? I know you can. My goodness. I'm not going to say anything, Amy. It's all you today. Yeah.
I'm trying not to, but you know.
But like I said, when you bring in interesting people, you have questions. So I can appreciate that, Ed. But tell us about what you're doing now, or what you're planning to pivot to.
well, when I eventually retire, you know, I plan on, you know, introducing holistic health, you know, and resources to people, doing coaching. So, Blissful Life Consulting LLC is my business. And over the years, I've done, you know, outreach kind of workshops, you know, vision board parties, women networking events, women empowerment. So I've always, you know, really been in for that. I think what the difference is now is that, you know, my platform is really going to be seriously suicide prevention. So anything that I do, anything that I think about, and especially, you know, veterans, military families, is so in my heart. And I'm just, you know, really thinking about how I can support that mission, for the prevention of suicide, because I can really understand and empathize as to why we have suicides, the things that we go through that are so unique, and that people don't think about. And we look good on the outside, we wear our uniform, and we're not used to always asking for help. That's not always, you know, coveted. And so, you know, having your battle buddies, and, you know, having your transition battle buddies. But I really want to do whatever I can to support the suicide prevention, you know, model, support. And then also, I have a Blissful Home Candy is my other business. It's a candle, concierge gift and home decor company. So I would love to, you know, provide luxury gift boxes to people who may be struggling, who may need that extra umph, you know, of support, just spreading joy at any one gift at a time, I guess, to support. And of course, I speak. You know, I love to speak, and I'm working on my book now. So I'm going to talk about my story of triumph and survival, and how I'm, you know, the journey of healing doesn't, you've never arrived. Like, it's a long-term thing. But I believe that I went through this for a reason, and maybe to even have more compassion for the people that I work with. But because I can understand it on a different level, I think that'll position me to help people a lot more, because I could actually understand, you know, some of the things that they've gone through, or are going through, or will go through. And especially with navigating the medical system, that's a whole thing. So, you know, with my skills doing that, you know, I want to be able to support in that realm as well. So.
So part of the story, I guess I missed the part about what happened to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you want to talk a little bit more about that, because you're writing a book about it. But you got sepsis, and was it just a traumatic to figure out what the problem was and how to get it fixed over time?
Well, the deployment that I went to was pretty traumatic. It was during the height of COVID. You know, of course, we didn't have prophylactics yet. We didn't have immunizations yet. So that was very challenging. I was deployed to Navajo Nation. And, I was there as the behavioral health provider, sole behavioral health provider for two health centers. And, of course, I love what I do. I love, traveling. I love deploying. I love working with people. So I feel like it was very productive. But on the other side of it, I feel like it was, with the amount of deaths and everything that was happening, it was pretty challenging. And I would say that was probably the most challenging deployment that I've had. And I've deployed a lot. But when I came home, of course, I'm thinking that, so I had to exercise while I was there, obviously, keep your mind going, and everything. And so I came home and I started having pain in my left hip, and my husband, we were walking and everything, and I didn't think anything of it because I did a lot of races, marathons, half marathons, a lot of weightlifting, so I'm used to pain. That's nothing. And so I got my Tiger Balm, ice, heat, all that stuff, raised my leg, all that. So one night I got up to go to the bathroom and I couldn't walk, and I was in so much pain. So I crawled. I didn't want to wake my husband up. He's a military veteran as well, retired Army infantry. So he's helping me. I'm so blessed to have him because he's kind of helping me with this transition because he's gone through it. So I'm so blessed to have my husband. So anyways, I crawled to the bathroom and I couldn't get up. I couldn't go to the bathroom. So I'm on the floor crying. My husband comes in there. He hears me crying. He picks me up. He's like, "What's going on?" And I was like, "I don't know. I'm in pain. I can't walk." So he helps me back to the bed and everything. Days go by, we're kind of hard-headed, right? I'm thinking Advil, nothing Advil can't.
If you can't walk, you go to the doctor.
Not me. I didn't go that night.
You're like my wife, who's a nurse. They're the worst patients.
Yeah, you thinking you pull some, you think you pull some. We're medical. You were medic, I'm medic.
It doesn't matter. I know when you should go. My wife's one, kid falls down, big bump on his head. Can you see my finger? Okay, you're good. No, you.
Yeah, we're the worst patients, by the way. And I will admit that. So I didn't go that night, but I think maybe the next day or the next day or two, we called the ambulance. They brought me to this place locally that was like a nurse, like a nurse's office. So
like urgent care
they didn't
kind of
really
thing.
have any resources. They took an x-ray, gave me morphine, and sent me home. And so again, I'm trying to, I'm thinking, okay, they didn't see nothing. I went to the doctor. So anyway, it was a couple days later. My husband's like, "No, we going to the military hospital." So I couldn't get down the stairs. He had to carry me kind of on his back. And I'm screaming at the top. I mean, this pain was death pain. Like, it was unlivable. It was not normal. It was not, this is when you go, like, I waited. I probably should have been to the military hospital. But again, I was taking my Advil, and my girlfriend, I had called her, and she was a nurse. She's a nurse practitioner. She was like, "You gonna overdose on? I'm afraid your liver's gonna shut down." So anyway, went to the hospital, the ER. They transferred me to Walter Reed Medical Center. And I was there for about 4 days. And of course, it's a training hospital. They brought all these classrooms in, you a lab rat at that point. But it was so fascinating to everyone because they couldn't find anything, you know what I mean, for the amount of pain that I was in. And so that's when the 4th day they came to me and they said, "Captain Harrell, we can't find anything. So, I think we're going to send you home today, but we'll have you see the psychiatrist because you just came home from deployment." And I said, "Well, number one, you could euthanize me because you wouldn't be able to live with this pain." Like, I'd never been hospitalized before. Like, you think I'm here to play footsies with you? You know what I mean? So anyway, it's just mind-boggling to me now, even still. Like, what do you mean you're bringing me home? Was that what was that? So anyways, they ended up doing a fluoroscopy where they put this big needle in my hip. They took a sample, and as soon as they got that sample back, everybody running in the room. We going into surgery. Me and my husband are like, what's going on? You got a septic hip. We got to now check your heart. You might need heart surgery. What? I've been here all this long and we still. So anyway, it was a lot. It was a lot. So they ended up doing 3 surgeries. I did 3 surgeries on that hip. And it was a long journey. I was in the hospital for about a month and a half. For about 6 weeks, I think. I had a pick in my arm, intravenous antibiotics. So it was very stressful. It was a lot. And especially for someone who's never been hospitalized, who's been independent, doing races, all this stuff. It was very challenging. And then several months later, I ended up going back to the hospital because I thought I was having a stroke. So that was the end of 2020. And I would say the spring of 2021, I went back in the hospital. I was having chest pains. My arm was numb, the whole thing. My head was, hurting so bad, like, shooting pains. It felt like fireworks hitting your head, or, I don't know, like you being electrocuted in your head. So anyway, they did a chest x-ray on me and they hospitalized me right away. They found all these nodules all over my chest and they didn't know if I had cancer at the time. And you know how people don't really say a whole lot. It felt kind of eerie. It felt kind of silent. So anyway, I was in the hospital for about a week. 2 days later, my sister came here to see me. My sister came up each time I was hospitalized. I went home 2 days later, I got Bell's palsy. So this side of my face was completely drenched down, right? No. And so that was pretty challenging. And I thought that I was dying and I thought they weren't telling me. And so my husband's in the, waiting for me in the waiting room. And he's like, they can hear you all the way out here. Because I said, if I'm dying, y'all need to tell me. If I got cancer, y'all need to tell me. If I need palliative care. So, the Bell's palsy, they didn't hospitalize me again, though. I guess they said that could happen, that could happen. And so anyway, I have sarcoidosis, pulmonary sarcoidosis. That's a diagnosis of exclusion. If they can't diagnose you with cancer, you still get treated with chemo, oral chemo, and all that stuff. So it was a long road. What I will say is that I think we still have some work to do in the medical system. When I first got diagnosed, they told me, oh, we have this care coordinator for sarcoidosis program. They're going to meet with you. There's other people who have it. They're going to support you. And so I was really scared because, they give you this diagnosis. They're looking at you like, how are you going to respond? And I said to her, you know what? I never heard of it before today. Like, I don't have any family members. I don't understand it. And she said, yes, you do. Bernie Mac died of it. That's the first thing she said to me. So again, it's been a long ride. I'm still riding it. But yeah, that's kind of how that happened. And so I've just been blessed to have good family, my church, the friends from my church, and they've been really supportive of me, as well. So
yeah, not everybody has a good bedside manner. So.
No. No, I thought I did though. As a mental health provider, I thought, I'm thinking you anyway.
No, but just how they said that to you.
Yeah.
Did they ever figure out how it all started at all?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We don't know if I think I know, but I think I got infected at the deployment site. So.
Gotcha. Yeah. I don't know if you heard, there was a kid who kept going. He was a major ear pain and they were checking him and putting him, couldn't figure it out for almost a week. And then finally he went back into this ER and the lady looked at, have you heard the story?
No, I haven't heard that.
And they were like, they finally, they did a little MRI back here in the ear canal and all that didn't work. Then when they went in that week later, the lady was like, we're going to do a full workup. This is ridiculous. So when people clean barbecues with wire brushes, he was at a barbecue the week before and he had a hamburger. The little piece of wire from the brush broke off and was in the hamburger and it got stuck inside of his throat. And so it was close to the ear. So that was causing him the pain.
Wow.
You never know where it's, there's sometimes things that people will never know about how it works.
Yeah.
But I heard that. I was like, that poor kid.
Yeah.
Something like what you would go through. So,
yeah.
Agreed.
Thank you for sharing your story today. I know that wasn't easy.
No, thank you I think the more that I talk about it, especially as a provider, I got to practice what I preach.
Right.
I held it in for a long time. I think I had a lot of anger, a lot of loss because again, I want to stay active duty, but physically, I'm not sure if that's, really an option for me. But I, as long as I get to my 20, we good. But I didn't expect it. It's just, not me. I'm here to help everybody else. This isn't supposed to happen to me, And so, but again, I feel like now I'm more positioned to help others. I have that compassion. I believe that I can know maybe what people are really thinking. I'll tell you about a patient that I had who almost committed suicide. And, of course we had, a lot of suicidal patients over our career. And, I'll never forget him. He was also someone who was really stellar. His career meant everything to him. And that's all he had his family, but that's all he had. You know what I mean? Like that was his identity. And when he came to me, he looked better than the people who were okay. You know how some people just really keep themselves, like their uniforms are sharp, class blues, B's or whatever. He was just, and so I felt something about him though, that I knew, he wouldn't be coming here, if I knew he wouldn't be coming here. Right. And so, I did a lot of safety planning with him, met with his spouse, met with his first sergeant. I actually hospitalized him at one point, convinced him to go to the hospital, and he did. But so for Christmas, him and his wife brought me this plate of cookies. And it's on this beautiful hand painted, like, one of them Santa plates. It got Santa Claus on it. And he told me, so they brought me cookies, and he told me, he said, I had already did the research to determine if my family was going to get the SGLI. He had did all the research to commit suicide, And so it was just such a blessing. I think about him all the time, and he just thanked me. And anytime I have a really bad day, I eat on that plate. I eat on my Christmas Santa Claus plate because I know that I'm here for a reason. And I know I even have even a bigger purpose now, now that of what I went through, because we can get through this. I'm not the only person that has gone through this, and I will not be the last. But I know some things now that I can help support other people. So I believe that that's why I went through what I went through. I have a bigger purpose than just what I thought it was. So.
Well, we've had some other people on the show who had similar situations in their careers where, something that they had no idea that they were sick, and all of a sudden it came up and it changed everything in their life. But I hear from what I'm hearing from you is your next purpose is really helping veterans stop committing suicide.
Yeah.
And that's really needed, because my son was stationed in 2020 with COVID up in Alaska, and they were all stuck in the barracks, and they had such a huge suicide rate. It was ridiculous. And we almost thought we were going to lose him because of that. And so, it was a really bad time for the military. It really was. And, and they didn't help him as much as they should have helped him. And anything you need for what you want to do, you just let me know. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I appreciate that.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me. And it was so
We
nice
have
meeting you.
we have one
Yeah, thank you.
message from a Facebook person.
Oh, thank you, Janice. It's God. That's why I'm here, and I feel like if I live, I'm inspiring other people to live as well. And we can do it. We can get through it. We can get through anything. Is it easy? No, not necessarily, but we're going to be better on the other side of it. And so I'll tell you a couple things that I did while, you're going to have your up and down days, especially when you're in pain. Like one day you can't get out the bed. I have these debilitating migraines. Some days you can't, just even taking a shower. Like, can I wash up today? Right. So what I say is just start where you are. Right. If you could just get up and wash yourself, that's one thing, and I look good, but there are days when I have these headaches where, I'm like, so everybody kind of receives information differently. So it depended on what day. Like, of course, I practice meditation heavily, morning and night meditation. That's also complementary and alternative medicine that I'll be introducing in my practice and my coaching. But some days I needed somebody to yell at me, somebody to say, get your butt up. And that was listening to his first book, David Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Me. Listen to me. That book, when you hear his story and what he went through, I mean, we all been through something, right? But to hear other people and how they're managing and how they're getting through it, so on the days where now I have an issue with my legs and how I walk, one leg's longer than the other. So I almost trip all the time. But if I can't run 100 miles like David Goggins, can I walk for 5 minutes? You know what I mean? So doing whatever it is that you listen to, there were so many different ones. Some days I'm listening to Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. I might need that one. That's a good one, especially on tape, listening to his voice, because he kind of puts you to sleep, kind of puts you in a meditative state. But that David Goggins, especially if you military, especially if you infantry, one of those, listening to him and his new book. So I listened to the first one 3 times. And my husband's like, why do you keep listening? It helped me. It helped me to not stay down. When I'm down, I can't stay down. He says, nobody's coming to save you. They're not. Nobody. So I really like listening to both of those, both of his books. And like I said, Eckhart Tolle, there's so many different ones. If people want to, send me a DM on Instagram at Malaysia H Harrell. I can provide you with resources that I used, but those two were powerful. I'm gonna tell you what.
My problem with listening to David Goggins, I'm going, you're such an idiot to do that to your body. Coming from the medical side,
I'm not doing 100 miles. Listen,
but you know what I mean? He's like, oh, my urine was brown. It's like, dude, what is your problem?
Yeah, not to that level, but just to say, do something. No one's coming to save you. Do something.
No, I understand that.
Oh, yeah.
That's just what I was like from the I thought I left all that behind, but when I was listening to him, I got a lot from his stuff. And, but I was like, those periods, I'm like, you're lucky to be alive with what you put yourself through, pushing yourself. But it's
pretty extreme,
right? But also, I mean, I've interviewed Brian Smith, who was the UGG founder, who brought UGGs to America.
Okay.
And he lost his company at one point, and he was on the middle of his floor, in a fetal position. His wife says, "Get your fucking ass off the floor and go fix this thing," and he did. Yeah. So there's so many places out there you can get inspirational stuff, especially if you're starting a business and you're having trouble. Go listen to people. Go get an Audible, subscription so you can listen to everything that's out there.
Yes,
because it helps. It really does.
Yeah, it does. Just when your mind is racing and you can't stop it to listen, it's like going on a journey. The other book was Shonda Rhimes, The Year of Yes. Oh, that book was so good. that one too. There's so many, but yeah, those. And then of course I do also practice the power of manifestation. So when I was in the I believe that you need to live in the state mentally where you already want to be in order to manifest it. And so in the hospital, when I was after all the surgeries and I could get up and I couldn't take a shower for a while, but my husband brought me clothes. I wore my own clothes every day like I was going home. I didn't wear the hospital. Of course you got to wear something, you could either a t-shirt mostly, and then wear a sweater because they got to have all these things on you. So, something that you could get in and get out of easily. But if you can, imagine yourself where you already want to be. And I'll tell you one anecdote. So we live on a golf course and I was like, so there was all these things that I'm thinking about, thinking I may not be here, right, tomorrow. And I was like, oh my God, I never learned to swim. I never, took a golf cart on the golf course. So my neighbor, I have my walker, this was a while later, months later, but I was on my walker. My neighbor brings me to the clubhouse. In my walker, they give us a golf cart, and she drove me all around. Now it hurt like hell to ride in it, but I was like, so just little things that you always wanted to do. Maybe you wanted to eat in that coffee shop that you always see on the corner, whatever it is. But those are the things that I started to think about, because then you have some hope and some positivity, while you're going through it. So,
and you should go on vacations.
Oh yeah,
all the time.
If you can,
because you never know.
Oh yeah. I say to do it while you have time, now while you're healthy. Oh, and this was one other thing for veterans. So someone had told me initially that I should have gotten insurance. Again, I don't, I'm not an insurance agent. I'm not none of that. But they told me you should have, we have the SGLI, so some people don't get insurance on top of that. And so, I was thinking, they told me I should have got it. And I was like, oh, well, I'm fine. Maybe I'll wait till right before I retire. Well, now if you're uninsurable, now you have to take something that you have to take that's going to have high premiums. So that's just some things to consider. You think you have time, but just look into it, see what options are available. You may get a great rate now that, and be insurable. So just look at all those other things too.
Are we talking life insurance or medical insurance?
Yeah, life insurance.
Okay, just want
life insurance. Yeah.
And that's great advice. My husband is
get a life policy. Don't get a term policy, or at least if you get a term 30 years, however long they'll let you have it, do that long.
Yeah, for whoever's gonna get it. But if you're uninsurable, then you just gotta maybe take the VGLI or whatever when you retire. But those are just things you don't think about, because again, you're your rank and you're your last name. But again, there's life after the military as well. So you got to think about that.
And most of us don't have people helping us.
No.
When we go in, helping us, tell us what we should do, this kind of stuff at all.
No.
My son's in a different situation because he had somebody, us and other people. I mean, he had a 760 FICO score when he got in, because I'm in the mortgage business. So I explained to him about credit, everything else. And so, he went to get his first car, and his sergeant's like, oh, is your parents co-signing? He goes, no, I have a 760 FICO score. They're making me do it on my own. It's not making you. It's you're supposed to do.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I just wrote the book, Financial Freedom, Building Personal Wealth Through Home Ownership. It just came out 2 weeks ago. Amazon bestseller.
Congratulations.
So thank you. If you'd like a copy, let me know.
Yes, I would. Absolutely. We got to get more home ownership.
Oh, definitely. That's huge. And I'm actually in the process of converting that one into just one for veterans now. So there was a main one, and now it's just a veterans edition. So
yeah. Oh, I'll definitely get with you. We got to talk, because something just came up at one of the veterans benefits.
Where are you located?
Maryland.
Oh, okay. We never asked.
It's funny because I was going to ask that. earlier, and then I got distracted by somebody who kept on interrupting me.
Oh,
And
sorry.
then, you know, I don't know.
Malaysia, next time, don't, you can't come on the show anymore. You keep interrupting her.
But I'm also finishing my book, Stories of a Volunteeraholic. So
Congratulations.
but it's probably a couple months out.
Okay. Yeah, well, send me both of y'all information, for those. Definitely. I'll send you, when my book is coming out later in the year. So yeah, we got to support each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
Yes.
Amy, anything you want to add before we go?
Nope. You're doing a beautiful job. Thank you.
I'm so sorry. If somebody wants to get a hold of you in Malaysia, what's the best way to reach out to you? Is that on Instagram?
Well, my website is up, Malaysia, www.malaysiaharrell, Harrell, Malaysia spelled just like the country.com.
Like on the screen right now?
My website is up.
Like on the screen, right? Your name on the screen right there, right?
Where can I? Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, it's right there. Yep. So you can www.malaysiaharrell.com, and then I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. But Instagram is more accessible. The @Malaysia H Harrell. So yeah, I'd be really excited, especially if you want me to come and speak to any. I speak to adults, leadership, and also workplace wellness. I'm really big on that. And also I get a lot of requests to talk with like youth as well. So I actually get a lot of calls from youth, people who are, whose youth are trying to figure out what they want to do, or if they want to go into the military. So I do a lot of kind of counseling for that as well. And of course, help with questions for transitioning, for what I know, or I can point you in the right direction as well.
Okay.
Let me know.
All right. If there's anything you need from us, any support at all, let us know.
Thank you so
anybody
much.
else, if you know anybody else who could come on the show, let us know too.
Okay, I will.
Thanks again for both of you. And
Thank you.
Happy International Women's Day.
Thank
Week,
you.
whatever it is.